Welcome back, students. In our today's class, we are going to discuss about the print media and its type. It is chapter 4 from our unit 2, that is evolution of media. The term print media refers to a whole range of media which make use of printing machines to make multiple copies. So as all of you know why printing machines are used, they are used to make multiple copies of a single book or any pamphlet or anything that is written on a page. Since the invention of printing press by China first and almost 400 years later by Johannes Gutenberg in Germany, William Caxton of Great Britain, a number of types of print media came into existence. Leaflets, pamphlets, and books were the first to be published. These were the earliest print media. Now, then to publish then mean to announce and to make known to the public, that is the readers. So at that time to publish used to mean that to announce and make people know about a book or a thing that has been published. Religious literature comprised the earliest print media. So the religious literatures were the first things to be published. The Bible was the first to be printed and widely circulated in the vernacular languages of Europe. This book remains a bestseller to these days. So the Bible was the first book to be printed. Okay, and this book is the most published book till the date, and it is the bestseller, and it was the first book to be printed and widely circulated in the vernacular languages of Europe. So what are the vernacular languages of Europe? They are French, European, Latin, Italian. This kind of vernacular language mean the mother tongue or the language that is most popular there, the tongue that the language that they use to communicate, that is called the vernacular language of Europe. Vernacular language. And Bible was the first printed book and widely circulated even in the vernacular languages. So Bible was not only published in English but also in all other languages that are vernacular in Europe, and this book remains the bestseller to this date. By the late 17th century, newspaper periodicals came to be published on a regular basis in the countries of Europe. So what happened in the late 17th century, newspaper periodicals and all this kind of books came into existence. News of all kinds dominated the print media, which came to be known as the press, and the professional print media, which came to be known as the press, and the professional writers who wrote the press came to be called as journalists. So with the setup of the printing press, the newspaper came into existence, and the print media, which came to be known as print media at that time, came to be known as the press. Our concept of press is quite different from that concept of press. And the professional writers who wrote for the press at that time, I'm talking about late 17th to the beginning of the 18th century, the writers who wrote for the press came to be called journalists, and the profession they practiced came to be known as journalism. The first doctoral thesis on practices of journalism, entitled On News Reporting, was submitted to the University of Leipzig in 1690. When I am discussing about all these things from your text and the lines I am underlining, you must take care of those lines very well. You must learn those lines because most of the question you will find from there. Now, what is news? The nature of journalism and one's approach to journalism is, therefore, depends on one's perspective of news and news values. News is the account of an event, not something intrinsic in the event itself. So what is news? News is the account of an event, the description of an event, and not something intrinsic in the event itself. Hence, news is written, audio, visual construction of an event, of happening or person. So news can be about a person or a happening or anything. There is nothing in the event itself that makes it a news. The event is not the news. Rather, the news is the write-up or the audio-visual presentation of the event. Further, such a presentation or representation or construction of an event has to be in a particular format and is selected according to the certain professional value system to make it a news, and that is news is all about. Now let us move to mainstream journalism. Mainstream journalism treats news as a commodity to be bought and sold in the marketplace of information. So it's all about our life now is all about data. So what mainstream journalism does, mainstream journalism bought the news and sold it in the marketplace of information as a commodity, as a product. In order to keep cost of news gathering down, newspapers and other media subscribe to news agencies for news stories and visuals. So in order to keep the cost low, okay, the cost of news gathering low, the cost of newspaper and other media media, what they does, they subscribe to the news agencies for the stories and visuals. Their primary sources of revenue are advertising and circulation. So the main source of collecting money or main source of revenue generation is the advertisements. So, various kind of advertisement agencies provide them with money, and circulation is very much important. Everything TRP and everything depends on circulation. Now the media are run like any other business or industrial enterprise in the tradition of mainstream journalism. The focus is the exceptional and the elitist, and the preferred format is the inverted pyramid of news report. The formats include features, editorials, columns, and opinion pieces. Okay, I have discussed about this inverted pyramid in our live classes again and again. I will discuss it further. Okay, now analyzing newspaper and their content. Journalists work for the broadsheet press and the tabloid press. Broadsheet press is all about maintaining good quality of news, serious news, whereas tabloid are form of small news that are sensational and popular. The term broadsheet and tabloid usually describe two main formats of newspaper. So these are the two main form. If you are asked that what are the two main formats of newspaper, you have to tell that broadsheet and tabloid. These are the two main formats of newspaper, but the labels also connote to two kinds of news stories selected, and more importantly the presentation, treatment and the style as well. However, this distinction is now blurred, especially when the serious or quality papers choose to highlight the private lives of public figures, and the tabloids to publish serious investigated stories of corruption in high places. So they focus on the private life, and sometimes they focus on some kind of cheat cases in the high level. Okay, they caught suppose they do a string operation to find a minister taking bribes and all those kind of news. A third format, there is another format that is known as Berliner, which is popular with European and some North American daily newspapers. These are the newspaper like Le Monde, The Guardian and La Stampa, and North American papers like The Journal and Courier. East Media's Business Daily Mint, published in partnership with the Wall Street Journal, uses Berliner format. So these are some of the some of the big houses that uses this format. The Berliner is a narrower and shorter than broadsheet and slightly taller and wider than tabloid. Like the broadsheet, it connotes quality and serious journalism. Tabloid journalism is often termed as yellow journalism. Now, what is yellow journalism? Yellow journalism refers to a kind of journalism that sensitizes news unnecessarily to snatch our attention, to grab our attention and make it popular. Tabloid journalism, sometimes termed as yellow journalism, primarily because of its tendency to sense as accident, disaster, public correction, etc. Now, tabloid journalism are believed to indulge in checkbook journalism, which implies that the subject of the news stories are bribed to sell their true confession. So, checkbook journalism referring that you are bribed to sell your own confession in exchange of money. Such journalists are also believed to indulge in keyhole journalism or string journalism in their attempts to prove the private sexual infidelities and peccadilloes of some well-known people and public officials. Then there is page 3, journalism. Now let us move to this portion. Let us move to this tabloid television. What is tabloid television? Tabloid television is a format that follows the pattern of tabloid journalism, follows the pattern of selection, treatment, style of the tabloid press, and in the pre-satellite television era, the video news magazines, news track, and eyewitnesses were in the tabloid tradition. In recent years, India TV, Janmat, and other crime-based programs on several television news channels buzz on the sensational and the tabloid. Now, there is some activities that I have discussed that you have to do, or you are asked to do, and with that we finish this chapter. This chapter was a small chapter, and I will discuss the inverted pyramid in our next class. Okay students, that's all for today. We'll meet in our next class. Bye.